The Toronto Blue Jays have an off day yesterday before a massive series, maybe just the biggest series of the year.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. As always, I'm Brayden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5 Iwasco. Carter First, too, as well on our main Twitter account at Locked On Jays. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you haven't subscribed here on YouTube already, make sure you do that. You get your podcasts, your shorts, your live streams, your videos, the whole ordeal. So hit that button. It's free. You might as well do it. Lots to talk about, obviously. Off-day episodes all give us an extra bit of time to focus in on some bigger topics. And, eventually we will have the conversation probably closer to the offseason about what might come from a lockout after the 2026 season, what that could all mean. We're going to do a deep dive into that in the offseason, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that because there are some crazy details slowly coming out of what this all could be. But back to the main points at hand. Obviously, the Toronto Blue Jays come off a series win, and not good series win. I think they scraped by a few games, but like I said yesterday, looking back at it, the Detroit Tigers got swept by the A's. So at the end of the day, you take a series win every day of the week, even if it is against a bad team. We're going to get into some bigger topics. Obviously, the six-man rotation, what's going to happen with this Milwaukee Brewers series, because it does beg a bigger question. Carter, my man, off day, if you want to give us a quick sort of summarize of your thoughts on that series that was.
On the Twin series, just going over it, you get to Joe Ryan. That was one of the biggest things that I saw in that series. That's going to be the caliber of pitcher that you're going to see in the playoffs. So that is a massive asset that you can have on your baseball team. And then just looking around the American League, like you see the Detroit Tigers faltering. They get swept in a series by the Athletics, which you covered yesterday. You look at the Yankees, who have a relatively easy schedule. You look at the Mariners, who have kind of been up and down, starting to come out of their little bit of a sore stretch. The Astros have really been all over the place. You have another series against them. So, that was a series against the Minnesota Twins. We're talking a lot about the schedule coming up and how big of a gauntlet of a schedule this is. That's a series that you really did not want to lose. That would have been a stretch where you played the Pirates, the Marlins, and the Twins, and you would have went under 500. 5-4 isn't exactly ideal either, but it keeps you afloat. You put yourself in a good spot going on that massive winning streak earlier in the season that you could have a little bit of falters. Again, you don't want to go under 500 against under 500 teams, but 5-4, teams go through bad stretches. And we talk about this Milwaukee Brewers team and how good they are as well. And they're going through their little bit of an own bad stretch here as well. They lost a 3 of 4 series to the Chicago Cubs, and they lost 2 of 3 to the Giants, coming off of a series split against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And this is a team that looked unstoppable. So every single team in baseball is going to go through stretches like this. The Toronto Blue Jays have definitely gone through their stretch like this. I believe now they are 14-14 through the last 28 baseball games, sitting right at 500. So overall, I'm not going to take a lot away from beating the Minnesota Twins in a series with how depleted they are. But there's little things you can't take away. The ability to battle back, which we saw in the second game. And then, like I said, the ability to hit off good pitching in Joe Ryan. So that was my major takeaway away from that Twin series. Now, the major takeaway going into this Brewers series, a very good team, obviously the top team in all of baseball in terms of record right now. Like I said, they are scuffling a little bit as of right now, but this is as close to a playoff series as we're going to get. Two teams that play baseball in very similar styles. Brewers, I would say, have better starting pitching and a little bit just more structured of a bullpen. Just overall, I like their pitching a little bit better than the Toronto Blue Jays, but it's the exact same style of play. It's a team that's going to put the ball in play. They're going to have gritty at-bats. They're going to go deep into counts. They're going to foul a lot of balls out. The Brewers don't hit home runs at all. The Jays can hit home runs from time to time. I believe the Brewers are actually last in the major leagues in home runs. I will fact check that, or maybe Brayden, you can do that as I'm kind of going on my spiel here. But it's very similar play styles. They're not going to kill you with the long ball. It's going to be a lot of bunting. It's going to be a lot of small balls. There's going to be some stolen bases as well. There's going to be moving runners over, sack flies. And that's the kind of play style that these two teams have really done excessively well this entire season. And that's why the Toronto Blue Jays, looking at the standings right now, top of the American League, and then you look at the Brewers, top of the MLB, the National League as well, obviously, maybe included with the major leagues. So two really good teams. This is as close to a playoff series as you can get. And just looking at the matchups, which we'll kind of get into more, we got a little bit of reworking in the starting rotation. You got Shane Bieber, Kevin Gausman, and Max Scherzer. And then you look at who the Milwaukee Brewers are rolling out. I believe it's Freddie Peralta, Quinn Priester, and then you do have who's the third guy? I'm trying to blank here. All of a sudden, I think you might have
that's Woodruff. Yeah.
There you go, Brandon Woodruff. There you go. So because it's not Mizorowski, it is Woodruff. So again, a veteran pitcher, a guy that since he's come back from Tommy John has been unbelievable for that Brewers team. So the main thing I'm looking for is just the playoff atmosphere at the Rogers Center, seeing how loud the fans can get, and hopefully just playing 3 close games. Not as worried about the result of the series. You definitely want to win at least one of them, but I want to see competitive baseball games.
To me, this is a stepping stone series into the playoffs. And I know people are going to say, oh, you guys usually do your series preview at the end of the episode. Well, this is one of the, if not the most important series in baseball right now. It's the 2 top teams in each division, each conference going head to head. You can't script this any better. Down the stretch, massive series, but it could kill one of the teams. It could really bolster the other, or everybody can leave sort of unscathed. It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, sorry, Carter, by the way, Milwaukee Brewers 19th in home runs. The Jays up to 11th in the league in home runs. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay, it's just a little bit off. I didn't realize the Pittsburgh Pirates had 98. So
not
I just knew they didn't hit a lot of home runs, 21. Still not a lot, but again, the point still stands where they're going to beat you kind of with, the slap singles, the hard at-bats, the bunts, the small ball play style. Yeah,
for sure. And you know what? This team, these 2 teams as a whole, I think match up extremely well. I think they are very, very similar ball clubs. I think that if this was a World Series team, it would be hard not to tune in, because it's 2 teams that can play very similar styles of baseball. Both are going to hopefully rely heavily on the starting pitching, and their offenses are very, very similar. They play a very similar style of baseball. And I think, to be honest with you, right now, my biggest takeaway, and you sort of touched on it, isn't necessarily the turnout of this series. Obviously, if it's 3-0 Milwaukee, not good. But at the end of the day, are you doing all the little things right against a very, very good baseball team? Are you taking in a base when you can? Are you not allowing guys to take bases on you? Is the starting pitching good? Can the bullpen, find life, for God's sakes? Can the offense continue to hit in big situations against good pitching, which we've seen all season they have been able to do? This is a testing game for the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a matchup game. How do you match up against other really, really good playoff teams? And, at the end of the day, we could talk about these 2 teams being, the best in their divisions, whatever. When it comes to the playoffs, they may not be. They may not be the 2 best teams in the playoffs. And maybe the record will say so. But at the end of the day, you got to use your eye test a little bit and decide, when you do get into that last month of ball, which we are getting very close to, of, hey, who are the actual front runners here? And I think the Jays have been one of the most consistent teams in baseball, even if parts of the game haven't been super consistent. Sometimes the offense does really well. Sometimes the pitching does really well. Sometimes the bullpen's great. Sometimes the bullpen is the worst thing I've ever seen. But at the end of the day, it's how the other 2 components of the game pick up the third. And if this Toronto Blue Jays, and that's something the Toronto Blue Jays have been really, really good at, is if one part of their game is going down a slope, the other 2 step up and do the job. And so I think that is what's going to separate really great World Series contending baseball teams to teams that will probably be first or second round exits out of the playoffs, is how well do they pick up the struggling component to their team's ball game.
Yeah, it's all about how teams are playing at the time the playoffs roll around as well. We're still a very long time away from the playoffs, over a month away. And when we look at records matter in terms of like the positioning. Obviously, you want to win more games than you lose. But once you get to the playoffs, it's kind of just a clean slate. Like, who cares if you won 100 games or 85 games? If you got to the dance, you have, again, there's other factors that go into it, but you have an equal chance of winning a World Series. You have an equal opportunity of winning that World Series. So we've seen it with the Texas Rangers. We've seen it with the Arizona Diamondbacks making the World Series. You don't have to be the number 1 team in the league to go on a deep run. So, like, the Brewers could win 110 games and then get bounced in the first round. The Blue Jays, hopefully not, could win 100 games, the same thing, get bounced in the first round. It depends how they're playing at that time. Like, if the World Series or the playoffs, we'll say, not the World Series, started tomorrow, The Brewers, like the way they've been playing, the Jays, the way their bullpen has been pitching, like these guys probably don't stand that good of a chance if they roll into a hot team. Maybe like the New York Yankees roll into town. Wouldn't be the best time to find them. Mariners, the Red Sox who've been playing a decent caliber of baseball. So it's all about timing. It's all about the way pitchers are feeling at a specific time. And then obviously the day of, like we look at a couple of years ago with Jose Berrios, that was probably in the playoffs, one of his best outings of the season. You didn't necessarily expect that in that game, but sometimes you got to see what's in front of you. You got to see, hey, this guy's either on his game or not on his game. There's so many little things that can change in this entire trajectory of not only a playoff series, but even a playoff game, even it's an inning, every at bat, even every pitch. If you have one mistake pitch, that can change the entirety of a game, a series, of the playoffs. So what the Toronto Blue Jays are looking to do is win at the small things, which they've been very successful at doing this entire season.
Yeah, Carter. And you know what? I want to throw out a big question to you, but I might save it for when we come back from the break, because it's a little bit of a curveball. Not something I prepped you for, but something I wanted just off the dome. I was asked this today. I was on 680 CJOB radio in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I went on to their sports show last night as you guys are listening to this. And the host, Christian O'Mell, good buddy of mine, asked me this question. I thought it was pretty interesting. And I think I had an interesting answer that maybe differs from yours. So I do want to get into all of that as well. We got so much more to talk about. Obviously, there are some big topics coming out of this last series. Moving into this one, we got to talk Shane Bieber a little bit as well, how he matches up, what we can expect from him. Plus, just some of the offensive players, right? What can we expect from Addison Barger? Can we expect him to now pick things back up heading into the last month of the season? So much to talk about. We'll come back with all of that after this.
Today's episode is sponsored by Upside. Hey, Locked On Blue Jays fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon at your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already needed. We're all driving all over the place, whether you're driving your kids to a sporting event, when you're going to the Jays game, going to work, you're commuting all over the place. You might as well get money back for money that you're spending anyway. The Upside app helps you guys out a ton with that. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using, again, my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
So, Carter, the question I was asked coming into the sports show on CJOB was, now looking at the playoffs. First question obviously was, do the Blue Jays win the AL East? And I know this is getting a little ahead of ourselves, but this isn't the main point of this question. I said yes. The next question was then, who are you most afraid of in the AL East that could have a chance to catch the Blue Jays? The Red Sox or the Yankees? And I'm going to let you answer, and then I'll go into what I said on the show, because I think we might differ here.
Yeah, for me, it's always been the same team. I've actually had this conversation at work, and one of them is a Red Sox fan, and he was not a fan of my answer, and because that is still the New York Yankees, the big bad pinstripe guys. As soon as you have Aaron Judge on a baseball team, no matter what, that team is going to scare me a little bit more. And just in terms of the strength of schedule as well, like the Yankees do, like they have a couple tough series. I think they play the Astros, the Tigers, the Blue Jays roll into town, but they end their season, I believe it's Baltimore, Chicago, Baltimore, back to back to back. And that is a scary sight to see with the Toronto Blue Jays, because we have the Red Sox, we have the Tampa Bay Rays, the house of horrors that we seem to always kind of run into. So when you look at the AL East right now, like the Toronto Blue Jays obviously are favored. And if they can kind of remain even a couple games above 500, the Yankees are going to have to go on like a 22-9 run, a 23-8 run. Same as well, the Boston Red Sox kind of in the same boat as well. So I am more scared of the Yankees, not writing the Red Sox off whatsoever. I think they still make the playoffs as well. But I'm definitely more scared of the New York Yankees in the big picture.
See, and I had an interesting answer to this one, because I said if we were talking in a playoff scenario right now, I'm way more terrified of the Yankees because they have the big dogs that can eat. But in the regular season, if we're talking a team that can catch the Toronto Blue Jays, and I don't think anybody will, I still think the Blue Jays are going to finish first in the AL East. Obviously, I said that. I think it's the Boston Red Sox. I think that their consistency and the way that that team is built has a better opportunity for one, and this is again going back to what we said last segment, one facet of the ball game being able to pick up the other. I think that the Yankees can struggle if a couple of their big dogs don't eat. I think if the Red Sox do that, I think they still give themselves a chance every game. where I think the Yankees have a little bit more of a blow up. But it was an interesting conversation. I just thought I'd throw that out to you to start the second segment here.
Yeah, there's a lot that you could go into, like looking at this. Like the Yankees obviously have the playoff experience, which cannot be understated. Like you look at Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, if Christian Campbell gets pulled up at some point in that series, Cian and Rafaela. Like this, you have some guys that are young and don't have a ton of playoff experience, especially guys like Roman Anthony, who you just pulled up this year. He's like the main part of your lineup. So if things don't go well for Roman, and I'm not saying the light's going to get too bright for him, but that's something that they have to keep an eye out for in a playoff scenario. And just looking at the Red Sox, I think one of the main reasons why, again, playoffs are a little bit different. I'm just looking at this in terms of like the AL East and the finishers. But for the Red Sox, if we're looking at a playoff scenario, like they have Garrett Crochet. And then other than that, like who are you really scared of in that rotation? Like Brian Bayo, like Dustin May, they can have good outings. And even in the bullpen, or Aldis Chapman's disgusting. I'll say that right off the top. Once you get to the ninth inning, it's like good luck. But if Garrett Whitlock, who can be good, like I'm not going to, completely downplay him with Justin Slayton. Like it's not the deepest bullpen either. So when you look at the Yankees, just the acquisitions, they do have some of like the all-star names, again, some household names as well. Like you said, there is that thing if Aaron Judge isn't producing, how well does that team hit? But for me, just with, I think the recent Blue Jays history, and then you look at just the playoff success, like, in terms of just careers, some guys that you kind of expect, or you're more of an expectation of what they're going to do in the playoffs compared to a younger Red Sox team. For me, it's just always going to be the New York Yankees, maybe giving them, I guess, some rightful respect for one of the first times on this podcast.
Sure, I will do anything but that. I will go with the Red Sox every day of the week, which is right now anyway. Eventually, when the Red Sox are really good and maybe the Yankees aren't as good, maybe my opinion will flip. But as of right now, I cannot give the Yankees any little bit of hope, sliver of hope to those fans, because I do not want to see that team in the playoffs, because that would suck. I think they're a team that would show up when the lights do get bright. I don't think that team wavers one bit. So interesting conversation, and obviously we'll keep having it as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. But Carter, let's get into it. The man of the hour, as he has to be, Shane Bieber. Pumped, excited, nervous? What are your thoughts?
Super excited once again. Disgusting start, obviously, against the Miami Marlins, and John Schneider doing his best job to, kind of give us a little bit of a preview of what a playoff series could look like. You've seen all the comments; everything's been super positive. You look at AAA his starts, you look at the MLB his starts, or his start, I guess, against the Miami Marlins. This will be a little bit of a test for Bieber, but I'm very excited to see. Like at this point, I think this might be a little bit of a bold take, but really, like the way they're treating Shane Bieber is that first starting playoff game is his to lose. If he continues to pitch like this, I mean, obviously it's a given. Like you're going to throw 6 innings of shutout ball or 1 earned run, whatever it ends up being, you're going to be the number 1 playoff starter, at least in this ball club. But super excited for that start. And just, I think it's intriguing what the Toronto Blue Jays did with their starting rotation, which I think might be a little bit of a bigger conversation, but super excited for Shane Bieber and the night show that we're going to see. Freddie Peralta, Shane Bieber, sign me up for that.
The only thing that has me slightly worried isn't even Shane Bieber himself. It is the way that this fan base, and I love this fan base with everything of my being, the way that they're going to react based on this start. It is either going to be like Jesus Christ has risen from the dead, or the world is on fire and everything is crumbling down. I feel like there's not going to be that middle, which I said back before Shane Bieber's first start was, hey, first 3 games, temper expectations. He was great in the first one, but it was his first game back. You don't know what he's going to give us in the second or third game. So I'm going to keep that same sentiment. Temper your expectations. He's going against the best ball club in all of baseball in his second start to return to pitching. Temper expectations. The world will not crumble if he has a bad start. And I don't believe he's going to have a bad start. I think he's going to go out there and be awesome, and I fully do believe that. But as Jays fans, we do tend to, and I'm just as bad for this, tend to overreact. So I'm just praying that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Brewers, like it's a tough lineup. They have like a relatively deep lineup, but I don't think like the other offense is necessarily their identity. It is like, again, that gritty at bat mentality, but this is more of like a pitching and limiting mistakes ball club, which is what the Toronto Blue Jays do as well. So I think they're not going to give you a whole lot. The Toronto Blue Jays are going to have to earn every single run, every single hit, every single pitch. They're going to have to finish pitches, have good swings at the plate. Like nothing's going to be given to them in this series. And that's one of the biggest things that you see from a World Series competitor and a team that's not in the playoffs. Obviously, there's a big skill gap as well. But when you look at like defensively, you look at stealing bases, you look at throwing runners out, just like relays from the outfield, all the little things those really good teams are doing right. And they're doing it right every single time and consistently. You don't really see those mental lapses at all with a team like the Milwaukee Brewers. You don't see it much with the Toronto Blue Jays either. Like just going back to, for example, the Pittsburgh Pirates series, like you saw a lot of defensive errors in that series. So you look kind of around the league, the Yankees, a team that obviously will be in the playoffs, but we'll have to see how their defense kind of holds up in a scenario like that. And we have seen firsthand how not having a good defense can hurt you in a playoff scenario. So luckily for the Toronto Blue Jays, that's not something they will have to worry about. But Shane Bieber, just kind of tying that entire thing in, is Shane Bieber's used to pitching in front of a very good defense. Like the Cleveland Guardians, just looking at everyone the Toronto Blue Jays even acquired from them. Ernie Clemente, he came over, on Gimenez, Miles Straw. Like these are all gold glove, and on Gimenez's sense, platinum glove caliber defenders. So Shane Bieber's used to pitching in front of a good defense. He has exactly that in Toronto, and that just allows Shane Bieber to get more aggressive and be even more confident in his stuff. Because if he does, in the event he does make a mistake pitch and the ball stays in the yard, there's a pretty good chance that one of the Toronto Blue Jays is going to be able to track it down.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why you bring him in, right? You bring in pitchers like Chris Bassitt and Shane Bieber for these reasons. You know that you have a good defense behind you, and if a ball does get put in play, the odds of that play being made are pretty darn high. And so that is the upside to having a team like the Toronto Blue Jays defense, is that you don't have to rely on a high volume strikeout guy to go out there and have a million whiffs. You just need a guy that can go out there and do the job and then, play a full team game. And I think that's something the Toronto Blue Jays have been very good at. And credit is credit where due to Ross Atkins. He had an idea in his head of what he wanted this ball club to be. Defensively solid, pitching solid, and hopefully you find some bats in the rough. Well, they've done all of that. They found the pitching, they've had the defense, and for goodness sakes, they have found the diamond in the rough bats. For everything in me, Carter. Ty France's home run the other day. Awesome. It just reinstates everything that makes this season so exciting. David Schneider's 2 home runs. I mean, everybody, you go down the line. Andres Gimenez's home run. Like, this team, for the past so many years, you're like, oh my goodness, where are the bats going to come from? And now you could pick up a guy off the street. I could go outside to Portage in Maine and Winnipeg, pick up a homeless guy, and he'd probably be able to swing the bat pretty nice at this point. So this team is so much fun, and this is a reason why they are having so much success.
Yeah, and the most fun might be ahead of us with September baseball being around the horizon. Every single game will probably feel like a playoff series at this point, whether it's against the Brewers, the Orioles, doesn't necessarily matter. It's going to be fun, and I'm excited for this stretch. But I got 2 more questions to kind of end this off. And the first one is, we're talking about Shane Bieber, is what's the stat line you're looking for? Obviously had a very good first outing with the Toronto Blue Jays. Are you looking for something similar to that? Obviously, it's a better ball club. Are you looking for him to give up more hits? Like, for you, like, what do you think is going to happen? Not what you would like to happen, just what do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to say he goes 6. He gives up 2 runs and just more hits. Honestly, I think it's going to be more balls in play. A couple guys will get hits, but I think the Cy Young caliber arm is going to find ways to work himself out of it. And so I think that's what I'm looking for, the ability to not get in a hole and then dig yourself deeper. It's claw your way out. And I think that's what I'm really looking for from Shane Bieber.
See, I think he's not going to quite make it to the 6 innings just because of the quality of at-bats that the Brewers are going to have. Like, they're not going to help this guy out too much. They're not going to have a lot of 1 to 2 pitch at-bats. So I think he's going to grind. I think he's going to just get into that 6th inning, but I don't think he's going to complete it. But I was looking for around that 6th inning answer, and it's not as much for the Shane Bieber stuff. I wanted to ask you about the bullpen. So in the perfect world, we're saying there's like rest is not a factor in this. Like, everyone's available. Just out of sheer confidence, Shane Bieber does give you those 6 innings we'll use for this scenario. Who are you throwing out there out of all the guys that have been going on this Toronto Blue Jays staff? You got 7 to choose from with the 6-man rotation. Who is your ideal 3 that you'd roll out against one of the best teams in baseball?
Christ, flip a coin. Nobody's been good.
Closing the game.
Yeah, nobody's been good. It has really been pretty unbelievably bad. And as much as Tommy Nance has been good, you can't rely on that guy, because you're not going to rely on that guy in a big moment in a playoff series. And I think you have to treat this series like you would treat a playoff series. You want to see what this team is capable of. There's a reason that the guys who are starting in this series are some of your best, because you want your best facing the best. And in regards to that, you should have Hoffman's going to be iffy, I believe, just because for the sheer fact that he pitched in back-to-back days. But they did have the off day.
I think.
I would assume so too.
If it comes down to it, like, you're going to throw Jeff Hoffman. If it's
I would think so as well. So, but I'm going to say he goes 6. I'm going to say it's Yariel, Brendan Little, Hoffman. Either in whichever order, wherever the lefties may land or wherever you need Brendan Little. But in that vicinity anyway.
Give me Tommy Nance in the 7th. Like, I'm going with the hot hand at this point. Like, maybe, again, playoffs is a different scenario. Like, that's a whole different beast. But as for right now, you're trying to win a regular season game. Tommy Nance has been the best reliever in this bullpen, maybe other than Justin Brule, who's not going to be my lefty. I know he's been good, but I don't mind Tommy Nance in the 7th at this point right now. Jeff Hoffman's still my closer in the 8th inning. Kind of depends what scenario you're in, but it's either Brendan Little if there's a lot of lefties, or Seranthony Dominguez has been wild, but he has been effective, and I'm still okay with throwing Seranthony Dominguez in high leverage, but screw it. Throw out Tommy Nance because he has been electric since he has pitched for this Toronto Blue Jays ball club. Like, it's almost at the point where I'm looking forward to look at Tommy Nance going in the game over guys like Louis Varland, like Brendan Little, just with the way they've been struggling recently. Tommy Nance has been that little bit of an anchor throughout pretty much everyone else in this Toronto Blue Jays bullpen struggling. But we can speculate all we want about how the Milwaukee Brewers are going to play, how they're going to pitch, how Freddie Peralta is going to be, how any of those pitchers are going to be, how the Toronto Blue Jays will play. But we're going to find out all of our answers today, the day that we are releasing this episode. We are excited for it. We hope you guys are as well. We're going to go into our full series preview. And then one more bonus thing. I know Brayden's really going to like this little bit of a segment here because it's one of his favorite guys on the team. It is his favorite guy on the team. And we'll get back to you guys with that after this short break.
Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have a full picture, you can't end up leaving money on the table. And you know what? Me and Carter, we talked about Monarch Money all the time. It's such a useful tool. I use it just in my day-to-day life, whether it's my banking, my credit cards, a credit card, what my purchases might be, everything. It all helps out. It keeps everything right there so I can see everything all together all at once. Monarch Money is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch Money is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorizations of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Carter, just continuing on here, I just wanted to throw this in here for everybody. If you take a look down on the screen, if you're watching YouTube, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make our favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer any questions about the advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. We appreciate it. Hopefully you guys do check that out. Let us know what you guys like about the show. Leave your comments, thoughts, and feelings in the comment section down below on the YouTube page as well on everything that we talk about today. But Carter, I'll throw things back to you. I think we'll do the one that I'll like first, and then we'll get into the series preview as a whole.
Yeah, so this guy had a pretty good performance the other day and has really been good since he got called back up to the Major League Ball Club, and that is Davis Schneider. Davis Schneider has been on a little bit of a run recently, just not as much over the last 7 games, but just since he has been back with the Major League club. Over the last 15 games, is a 341 average, a 400 on-base percentage, a 756 slugging. That's an OPS of 1,156. Pretty good numbers from Davis Schneider. And when this guy is profiled, what do we always say? The first thing we think of with Davis Schneider is he's going to be thrown in probably against left-handed pitchers. But this is the interesting thing with Davis Schneider, and where this kind of segment does come from, is I looked at the splits today on Davis Schneider just because I figured, he has been playing some good baseball. He hit 2 home runs off a right-handed pitcher. I'm like, hey, how are the splits looking? Can we use Davis Schneider in a little bit more of just a bench role? And when we look at the numbers, you think he's hitting well against lefties, which he is. The numbers are 253 average, a 386 on base, 444 slugging for an 832 OPS. Then you look at right-handed pitchers, it's a 254 average. Again, it's not that much different. A 353 on base, that's a little bit worse. But the slugging's 576 for an OPS of 929. And you look at the at-bats, he has 83 against lefties, he has 59 against righties. But he's not 6 home runs against right-handed pitchers instead of 4 against left-handed pitchers. So this is a guy that's hitting lefties still very well, but somehow he's hitting righties better. He almost has the reverse splits now. Again, in a very small sample size, 59 at-bats isn't that many. But with Ernie Clement having the fractured finger and also, having a million stitches in his leg because of a Matt Wallner slide, maybe, you give Ernie a little bit of a break here. You manage that workload a little bit because that's a guy you want at an absolute minimum as a defensive substitution. In a playoff scenario, I'm more than comfortable, obviously, having Ernie Clement start the game. But I think when you have some guys that, have kind of been working through some things, Aston Barger had a massive hit, obviously, in that third game. It hasn't really been that good. Ernie Clement working through some things as well. If anyone has any injury concerns whatsoever, I think David Schneider is a prime candidate to get a little bit of an increase in his workload.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. He's my favorite player.
Didn't expect you to.
I think one of the biggest things with David Schneider is that's something I've been noticing lately. And I don't understand the people that say, well, just throw him in against lefties all the time. Well, in a big spot, Andres Jimenez or David Schneider, if it comes down to it, why are we not using David Schneider against righties, against lefties? I don't care. Throw the guy in. You know what the upside this guy has. And if you need a big knock at some point, I don't really got an issue leaving it to him.
Andres Gimenez has been pimping home runs recently, though, with a little bit of that swing change that he's made. I know traditionally for the entire season, but a little bit of the recency bias. But no, I know exactly what you mean. Like if you want a big at bat and you just want a guy, it depends on the situation. If you want like a guy to put the ball in play, like you're probably going Andres Gimenez there. Let's be honest, because David Schneider does still have a little bit of the swing and miss in his game.
Yep.
But the reason that he's back is because he is hitting for power. He's kind of selling out for that power, which does come along with some swing and miss. But his knowledge of the strike zone is right back. He's taking pitches. He's taking his walks. And that's when David Schneider is the most successful. It's when he's patient at the plate. So again, it's all scenario based, but I'm just really on the fence where I know you've been here probably even when he was struggling, is that you want to see David Schneider on the field. Like for you every single day. I'm not quite there yet, but I want to see more playing time from David Schneider with the way he's playing for this ball club.
Yeah, I don't know about every day. I'm not delusional. I think that I love him, and I think he serves a great role for this team, and I think he is a bit of a game changer in certain situations and can be. The biggest takeaway for me isn't, you can go in all the stats you want to, and that's great. At the end of the day, he's hitting high fastballs. That's the difference for me, is if you can't hit the fastball, you're not going to have success. David Schneider is finding ways to hit the high fastball, and it's working out. So to me, you can see the change in the guy's game just by that.
Yeah, a little bit of a scenario for John Schneider to run, but I guess the opposing side is, who do you take playing time away from? It's like from Ty France, who just absolutely pimped a baseball and plays pretty good defense. Ernie Clement, Andres Gimenez, Aston Barger, who hasn't been great, but you see the raw talent there. Miles Straw already not playing a lot, so it is tough for him to kind of put this into action. But I think just with what we've seen from David Schneider, like you can't play him less, obviously, and it just doesn't have to be this everyday player all of a sudden. But I think throw him in the extra game here and there to see really what he can give you in a little bit of a bigger sample size. But now we'll go into the series preview, which we've kind of already been doing this entire episode, to be completely honest, but I'll go over it one more time. You got Freddie Peralta, Shane Bieber on the Friday night. That's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. Super excited for that. Quinn Priester versus Kevin Gausman. And then you got Brandon Woodruff versus Max Scherzer. Again, these are probably the playoff starters. Maybe Jacob Mizorowski's in there for the Brewers. We'll have to see what they end up doing. But you wouldn't have that matchup until the World Series. But hey, some people are already predicting. If you're going for, I guess the most obvious one, the ones that you see at the top of the standings, it would be the Toronto Blue Jays and the Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than that. But excited for this series. So I guess I'll just throw it over to you. Which games do you think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win? Which ones do you think they're going to lose? Or do you think somehow maybe the Toronto Blue Jays come out of this with a sweep and they surprise literally everybody in Major League Baseball?
That's a good question. I would love that, but I'm going to go 2-1 Jays. I'm not giving them the loss. So I don't care. I think they take game one. I think Shane Bieber goes ballistic. The offense catches a little bit of fire. I believe in this team, and I believe in Shane Bieber. I think that's a tough one. I think they lose game 2 and win game 3. I think they lose the Gausman start.
Yeah.
Why?
I think
I don't even want to say anything. I don't want to curse anybody. I just think Scherzer's going to go out there and he's going to give them like 2 or 3 run ball for a decent amount of innings. I think Kevin Gausman probably maybe even has a good game, and just the offense doesn't get cooked in one of those games. That's sort of where my head's at.
See, I had similar thought process to you. I'm all in on Shane Bieber, so I'm going to give the Toronto Blue Jays that one as well. I think somehow it's going to be like a little bit more of a higher scoring game than we're all anticipating, just because, that's just how baseball works sometimes. We'll give the Toronto Blue Jays the win there. I'm going to give them the win with Kevin Gausman as well. I'm going to kind of reverse it a little bit, and I'm going to give them the loss here with Max Scherzer. I think Brandon Woodruff just has a very good performance. Probably a close game. Max Scherzer gives up a moon ball, which he does literally every single start. So, I mean, cash that in. It's just Max Scherzer giving up a home run. I think that's, even though the Brewers don't hit a ton necessarily, it's going to be a prime opportunity for you guys to make a little bit of money here on FanDuel. But that's my prediction, is a 2-1 series win. If honestly, even if you lose one of these games and you lose 2 out of 3, but you just play competitive baseball, as much as like it would suck, and hopefully you don't lose ground in the standings, it's more so like the bigger picture, like kind of what we've been looking for down the stretches. Yes, you want to win games, obviously, but you're looking at how the Toronto Blue Jays are going to compete against good pitching staffs and good teams in entirety. So that's what I'm going to be looking for this weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Hopefully, the Blue Jays do win 2 of 3, though, and we can put all that behind us and not have to worry about, did they at least play good baseball? Well, I don't want to have that conversation. Carter, and saying all that, I hope everybody leaves their comments, thoughts, feelings for this series down below in the comment section. Me and Carter have been everywhere. We've been doing interviews left, right, and center, right? We did a couple of Sportsnet this past week and the past little bit with Chorus Entertainment. That would be like global news, stuff like that. We've done some of those. We've been on sports shows. It has been a ton of fun. And when this team is doing well, it's even more fun for us because we get to go and, chat baseball with guys we don't usually chat with. So if you guys are following us on our Twitters, Brayden 5 Wasco, Carter first 2 as well as Locked On Jays, you guys will know if we go on anywhere, and you can tune in for those segments as well. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Carter, any last little bit of info from you?
No, let's just come back on Monday and talk about a series win against the Milwaukee Brewers and how this team's an absolute juggernaut going into the playoffs. Thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you guys on Monday.